Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to Birthright and our continuing mini-series here on the domain actions. So today we're going to focus on build specifically just because it is rather a long one and we didn't want it to drag too long, and then still have the second action as part of the same video, and really just would, again, drag too long for you. So we're going to split things up as needed based on the ability. If we have a couple shorter ones in a row, we'll certainly kind of double up on one video. But today, again, let's focus on build because it's kind of a catch-all for really, again, whatever you want to build. So it's a free action, so it's always a nice one. Success base is 5 up on a roll there, d20 of course on this. And base cost is going to, at least here they have it as a gold GP, but really I think they meant GB here, right? Gold bar, not a single gold piece. So that being said, it can be fairly cheap to build or fairly expensive depending on what we're getting into. So this covers everything from buildings, palaces, halls, bridges, roadhouses, lighthouses, and so on. Really, again, anything you could define under build within reason. This action can't be used for a castle or fortification. That's under a fortify action specifically. This order doesn't count as an action unless the PC personally designs and supervises the effort, right? Because you're actually spending time. With this, you're generally just ordering something gets built somewhere. The supervision increases the success roll to a 2 if the character succeeds in the appropriate non-weapon proficiency checks. So, 2 up base is pretty good, but of course, super salty if you do roll that 1. And then building in a remote area or difficult terrain does add to the cost of the structure. So as a rule of thumb here, building anything in a province 2 or 3 costs 150% of normal, and then in a 1 or 0, which is essentially wilderness, right? You gotta somehow settle the land, basically double the cost there. And then the cost is doubled again for extreme conditions. So, if you're trying to build on like a mountainside, stuff like that, right? Just keep adding the cost up and up and up. So construction proceeds at the rate of d6 gold bars per domain turn. So in other words, if the DM decides that a lighthouse will cost 26,000 GP, in other words, 13 gold bars, the regent does spend d6 gold bars each domain turn until the project is completed. Again, things just don't get built overnight. The regent needn't have 13 gold bars on hand to start the project, which is kind of cool, so you don't have to build up huge reserves to start some of these projects. You can sort of pay as you go over time. So that does make it a little bit more accessible for when you're just starting out and you don't maybe have that big treasury built up and you got a lot of other problems to deal with, but you do need to get some important infrastructure built. So anyway, let's jump in. So wood or stone buildings, this could be a village council hall, customs house, warehouse, etc. So here, anything really from 1 to 30 gold bars, depending on the size and grandeur of the building. And again, it's just something you're gonna have to get the feel for as to what it would cost. But again, you can kind of lay out a range of costs, and 30 really should be something insanely opulent anyway, given that, if you look at what like certain castles and castle levels cost, you can kind of gauge from there. So use fortify as a guide too on some of the other abilities as well. Just, like here's what something like this costs, and then kind of gauge it back to what we got going on here. Bridges, a wooden bridge over a moderate river is d4 gold bars. Stone bridge is d4 plus 1. So it could be worth that extra gold bar just to have that. Bridging a large river costs 2 or 3 times as much, and then especially strong or ornate bridge costs even more. Now, bridges are, of course, handy for ensuring rapid movement of troops. See armies in warfare. So obviously there, but depending on where the bridge is located, if it's too close to a border, obviously it makes it easier for enemy troops to get through too, but it could be a huge economic enabler for you as well. Palaces. So a regent who desires a luxurious residence may choose to build a palace. Now these get really expensive. Costs 5d6 gold bars, depending on size and extravagance. And then a palace does cost, let's jump to the other side here, an additional gold bar per domain turn to maintain, right? So there's going to be an upkeep cost, but it adds a bonus to your court expenditures, and we've seen that as well. We'll revisit that at some point as well for diplomacy type actions. And then for every 5 gold bars the regent spends on a palace, you do get a +1 bonus to your court expenditures. So, right, bigger and fancier the palace, well, the more it's going to cost to upkeep. So for example, a 25 gold bar palace, which is on the upper end, is going to add 5 to the amount that you're spending and presenting your court. So a 3 gold bar court becomes then an 8 gold bar court. just by the cost of the building essentially being there. But the bonus is applied after the palace is completed. So obviously, when it's not complete, why would you get a bonus? And then finally, roads. So roads are required for overland trade routes. Naturally, you're going to want to build a good road network and really get those economic benefits going up. And also speed troop movement and adventure travel. But again, keep in mind where you're building towards, because again, if you got some hostile neighbors, it certainly makes it easier for them to invade you too. A road can be crucial in mountainous or heavily wooded areas. A road costs double the province's terrain movement cost. Again, we'll see that separate table at some point, but just factor that in. Building a road through a province of hills, for example, would cost 4 gold bars. So ultimately not that bad, all things considered. Into, if you really think about what in this type of setting would have gone into really hacking out and, setting up a road in such kind of conditions. So regardless of the length of the road, the full cost must be paid even if the road only cuts across the corner of a province. So a road is a road. In other words, a road can follow any reasonable path through the province. However, two towns on opposite ends of their respective provinces can be linked as easily as 2 towns across the border from each other. So again, a pretty big catch-all there, but again, establishing good road systems within your domain, assuming you have a decent amount of provinces, is going to be key for just getting around, but also would make it much more likely then for people to maybe want to settle in some of the lesser developed provinces. And so again, you can also speed your economy with that and troop movement if need be. So again, don't underestimate building roads. So that one is definitely worth investing a little bit of time on here and there. But again, should be also looked at, at the start of a campaign and setting up your domain. What do the existing road systems really look like? So again, well worth looking at those. And anytime you have any of those players' secrets, books, or supplements, and we'll again take a look at each of those in turn. Those really, I think, do a great job. And one of the nice reasons of buying them is because you get a super illustrated map of your domain with everything that's in there. So that can give you a good idea. But anyway, as I've said before, roads are a good one to build. So let us know what you think of the build action and just how you've played that. Again, certainly there's room for house ruling a lot of things in this, but let us know maybe some of your memorable moments of using the build action, and then we will switch on to contest and other things in the next set of videos. But thanks so much as always for watching, guys. Like, subscribe, and we'll have more Birthright content for you very soon.